All right, welcome back viewers. We are going to be talking about, in fact today is a continuum of where we left a couple of days ago. We talked about function, we talked about performance, we talked about fitness, and we talked about longevity. Today we are going to be talking about longevity. Since we set a goal, you set a goal and we all set a goal of living long, and let us start with our goal, which is longevity. So, what comes to mind first when we say longevity? How long? It is like a number, it is quantity, whereas the other three, fitness, function and performance, are more or less quality, whereas longevity is mostly like a quantity. So, let us talk about the general description of longevity, how society perceives it, how we describe it in common layman terms. It said that we all are born, then we grow up, we have some successes hopefully, we also have a few setbacks, and then we die. That is the general notion or an explanation of longevity. However, I am going to be talking about the same thing in terms of a medical aspect, or metabolically speaking, or in medical terms. So, let us talk about the quantity part of the longevity, since that is the first thing that comes to mind, which is the goal, how long. So, I am going to be showing you this slide, which is a slide of rib cartilage. On the top left, what you see is a newborn cartilage, which is nice and white. At the bottom right, you see a 88-year-old cartilage, which is brown, which is nice and brown. So, in medical terms, what essentially is happening here is we are all browning, which is nothing but we are all aging. This is inevitable part of our life. There is nothing that we can do anything about it. So, how did we get there? That is the quality part. So, we all age and we die, but how did we get there? So, it is like imagining yourself like let us say we can roast ourselves in an oven very quickly in 2 to 3 hours at 375 degrees or 400 degrees, or we can slowly cook ourselves at 98 degrees and live long for 80 to 90 years. So, it is about how did we get here and what did we do. So, what are the things we do? That is when fitness, function and performance come, which we are going to talk later. So, when we set a goal of longevity, it is not just about a number, because quite often in medical practice, because of aging population, we see that people are living long, but there are quite a few other functions that are declining and their disease span is increasing, even though and their health span stays like that or even deteriorates. So, the quality is not as good and the quantity is there. So, it is the number is still increasing, the number is also more, but the quality is something that we all need to be desiring to be making it better. So, if you take most of the causes of not having longevity, barring homicides, suicides, accidental deaths, natural calamities, sometimes environmental pollution causing some cancers, most of the causes of a decrease in longevity is pretty much in our hands, which I could say mostly is about 65 to 70%. So, having said that, how do we make this better? Will be focused more on the next or future topics when I am going to be discussing. So, what we are going to do today to make this longevity better in terms of not only quantity, but also quality is by mostly focusing on a better lifestyle. If you are all interested in something of very interesting facts and observational studies that were done on centenarians, or the people who lived for more than 100 years. So, they went back and looked at this population. Most of these populations that have aged gracefully have lived in certain places which are called blue zones. Please go and search for this information. The blue zones are about 7 areas that are identified where people have lived for more than 100 years. So, it is very interesting that when they went back and looked, these are observational studies that they went back and looked about what exactly they did, and what was common in all these 7 regions in the world where people lived longer than 100 years. They had one thing in common, which is a sense of purpose, and how they connected, how they cooked, how they actually kind of adapted to the surroundings, and which is like coping, and how they also contributed. So, these are the 5 things which are actually the quality aspects of life, which we have to talk about when we talk about longevity. So, finally, what I would like to say to you all, for myself, for you, and for all of us: die young as late as possible. I will see you next.